Welcome to the Maasto Fitness Podcast. Today in episode 34, we are talking about the fall grind. So, this is a quick hit podcast where we keep them short and to the point, focusing on the things you can do off the bike to race faster and safer. At Maasto Fitness, we work with racers remotely in the real world. Many have a life full of commitments and don't have a lot of time to train off the bike or ride. We provide training off the bike so days on the bike, whether riding or racing, are faster and safer. And like I said, it's the fall. It's the end of October here, and we're going to talk about the things you can do to stay motivated because things can kind of start to feel like a grind this time of year. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. This time of the year, I see a lot of racers kind of start to hit a wall. The days are getting shorter, it's getting cooler, the season is changing, and the drive and energy just sometimes is not there for people. And this is something I've struggled with in the past as well. This year, luckily, things are going I'm feeling pretty good, but there are other years where for sure all those things can really hit me as well, and it just kind of feels like a drag. So I'm going to talk about why it's so important to keep up your off the bike training routine, how to keep motivation alive, and just how to keep going when it just kind of feels tough and it feels like more work than fun. So first, we're going to talk about that motivation slump. So for racers, spring and summer are just full of so much energy and anticipation. It's kind of easy to stay motivated, and the want and drive is usually pretty high there. The off season's over, the days are getting warmer, the days are getting longer, and you're able to also get in more ride time, which is always huge for motivation. But come the time of the fall, that rush kind of fades a little bit. You kind of feel the changes of the season and the days, and it does kind of start to mess with your routine a bit. So, like you said, we're dirt bike racers. We love our outdoor sports. We like being outside, whether it's track, trail, whatever it is. Um, and being out in that natural light is kind of like a big motivator for us. You might not realize it, but we ride when it's sunny, when it's nice. For the most part, we definitely ride during the daylight more than the night. So as we come into fall, the days are shorter, temperatures drop, and that kind of gym motivation drops because more than likely, really early in the morning, you're going to the gym, working out, and being done and leaving the gym, and it's still dark. Or same deal, you're going in the evening, maybe after work. It's dark when you get there, it's dark when you leave. So it kind of feels a little, it can feel a little bit more like a grind. And as race season winds down, less races going on, maybe you're done with your season now, that kind of want to train also kind of disappears. It kind of feels like a little bit about kind of like what's the point of doing all this? I have no races coming up. And we're going to dive into that as well. But that's another big one for kind of that motivation and drive. Without goals, pretty short term, talking maybe it's going to be 6 months out. Without that, that short-term drive wanting to train, it's just not there for a lot of racers. So we're going to talk about first why training still matters in the fall. So it's crucial to keep up on your off the bike training when you're not feeling it. Because for one, this sport demands physical strength, endurance, mobility, flexibility, core, all the things I always talk about. And the maintenance of that is just as important as the building of that. So as we get into the fall and kind of the postseason, it's kind of important to think about the maintenance side of things. So we're not so concerned about building strength or increasing our endurance. We want to just maintain. And with those shorter days and shorter motivation and no races coming up, we don't really need to focus on all the big pillars. We just need to make sure we're staying consistent, getting training in, and we can start addressing weak areas like areas that we have imbalance issues or things we want to do for injury prevention. It's not all about a lot of strength work and big endurance. It's just about putting those pieces in and making sure you're staying consistent with your training. And that's one thing you can do in the fall. You can adjust kind of how you train, meet your body where it's at, because that consistency is so important. In the postseason, we do let a bit of fitness go. That's just how periodization works and adaptation of our body and making sure that we're able to stay healthy. We do let some fitness go. So with these shorter days and maybe a little bit of a lack of motivation, you can mix up training and not feel guilty at all because that consistency and bits in just really count. And like I said, for racers, it's all about sustainability. So you've already kind of probably dealt with all your setbacks, all those things during the season that were setbacks and things that didn't go right, things that did go right. And now it's just time to focus on just maintaining fitness, making sure you're getting out there and just doing something. It doesn't have to be every day. You can look at it 3 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is. But as long as you stay consistent, that's going to help you maintain fitness. And then when it's time to bump things back up here, kind of like starting in like December, January to kind of like more of a preseason focus, your body will be ready and you're not starting from zero. So keep that in mind as well. Now, let's talk about some ways to stay motivated in the fall. First, I said for a lot of us, probably the race season is over. So the big goals are far away now. So we want to set mini goals and kind of look at your training as a routine that you break down into smaller, more achievable goals. So like you can think about, really focusing on parts of your body, like improving your core strength, improving lower body strength, and just start with specific short-term goals like that. Maintaining a certain cadence cycling for an hour, those type of simple goals. So gives you like a little goal during that session, but not so much thinking of I want to do this next year, I want to do that. Just kind of focus on the short term to give you some motivation to get to the gym, get to your home setup, get out the door, and get something in. Another one that can help a lot. Some people do better with groups. So if you're really lacking motivation this time of year, if you can find another racer to train with, get out and do some sessions with, might help you. I know a couple years ago for me in a running situation, this was specifically, had some pretty big running goals and some pretty tough early runs. And I actually ran with a partner a couple days a week, and that seemed to make a big difference with those really tough sessions. And I think that can be applied here as well for just motivation. So finding someone else if you need to, if you feel like that would help to connect with and get some sessions in together, help you stay consistent and keep your motivation up. Another thing, and this is something I always stress, and something I think we can always work on as racers, is focus on mobility. So don't worry so much about the endurance side of things, about the strength side of things. Focus on mobility, flexibility, making sure you can move your body through a range of motion and is flexible and can safely move through the ranges. In the case of a crash, it's always important to have. And then just for our general health and be able to have functional movements is really important. So you can set a goal of, going through a yoga routine X amount of days a week or going through a mobility routine X amount of days a week. And you can actually measure before and after your range of motion and flexibility and see how it's improving. That kind of gives you a little bit of motivation to keep going on that. Another one, which we kind of touched on earlier, is adjust those training times. So the days are getting shorter, the season's changing, and maybe you need to just do things a different way than you were before to help kind of stay motivated and get it done. So I definitely have always kind of been a person who will force myself to power through things, but I do find that on these really like today, I'm looking out a window right here for weather days, if I can adjust how I train, wait till the weather's a little bit better or till the sun is up, I definitely enjoy the session more. So think about that as well. Adjust how and when you do things if possible, just to help you stay consistent. Because that's what's really important this year. Is kind of we get into the postseason, like I keep saying, consistency. That's how we make the difference year after year. Is just staying consistent, and even when training is kind of like in the background of everything else we're focusing on, if we can just stay consistent during the week, that's going to make a big difference year after year of coming into each year stronger, fitter, and healthier. And then finally, remember your why. Um, it's always important to know why you do this, why you race, why you do this training, and kind of keying in on that and knowing your why will help you get through the session. So, like for me, my why ranges from kind of like I want to live a healthy and active lifestyle to I want to feel good when I race. We all have different goals when we race, but a big one for me these days seems to be my races are all like basically a day away. So it takes me about a day to get there and then race and then a day to get back for most of them. And so that's a lot of time away for me from my family and a big commitment for me in terms of time. So I want to be in the best possible position for myself when I get there. So that's often my why I just want to be able to give it my all when I get there and not show up and have a mediocre day that I could control. Obviously, we all race. We just have bad days. I definitely had more than one this year. But it wasn't it wasn't due to fitness, that's for sure. So think about that as well, your why that can kind of help keep you going forward. And so that's all I've got for today. I think it's just the fall grind. It can be tough. I see it with athletes every year. I felt it with myself over the years. So there's some tips to hopefully keep you going and keep you consistent now through the end of the year, or through, I should say, early mid-December, and then kind of start to ramp things back up there. Now, a couple things I want to touch on real quick. First, Black Friday is coming up. There's a sale we have once a year that is a deal that you cannot get for coaching any other time of the year. And that deal you get on Black Friday lasts for as long as you're a Maasto Fitness racer. So keep that in your back pocket, in your mind. Coming up here in a couple weeks, if you're not a Maasto racer and you want to join and get it at a better price than you can any other time of the year for as long as you're a Maasto athlete, that's coming up. And then, of course, just at Maasto Fitness, what do? We build strength, endurance, flexibility, and mobility for racers. And we've got tons of programs, all levels of racers, people who aren't racers who ride. We've got something for you. We've got programs that fit all types of budgets. So it's something that if you want to give a try, we've got a single jump training program and I can hook you up with a free week. All you got to do is send me a message on Instagram and I will get you going. There's no credit card required or anything. I'll just give you a free week. I'll then use your email address and you're in to give it a test drive before you go. So with that, that's all I got for this week. See you guys next week and stay motivated.